Welcome to Giggles and Goals, where we help you do what you're supposed to do. New mindset, clear goals, no procrastinating.
Today, we're diving into the remarkable rise of Canva co founder Melanie Perkins and the game changing lessons her journeys offers aspiring creators and entrepreneurs everywhere. Let's get into it.
Yes, all right. So, first, let's get on with our one liners. Do you want to go first today?
Okay, so this one, I did what I could,
A little rough around the edges?
a little rough and tough, but we're gonna do it. Some days I fail more than I win, but there's never a day that I'm giving up.
Okay, that's good. So, see, so that is the truth. Some days you do fail, and or lessons, some day you have harder lessons than you do
Yes.
wins.
Yeah.
Okay. So mine is my puzzle might be missing a few pieces, but trust, I'll always finish in style.
I like my puzzle might be missing. I like it.
Yes, I'm gonna craft me a couple of pieces, paint it up. My puzzle will be perfect and in order. Okay, so now it's time for Who Said That? I'm convinced that about half of what separates the successful entrepreneurs from the not successful ones is pure perseverance. Okay, so this person is a legend.
Okay.
W- What? Okay, I'm like, there's so many things I could say without giving it. How am I not gonna give it away? So I'm just gonna say it, and then it's probably gonna be given away. Okay. It's a man, and he is also a tech founder.
Steve Jobs.
Yes, I didn't even get to say any of the cool stuff.
Because you said tech, I always am gonna guess Steve Jobs first.
So, like, I was gonna say that he is known for wearing the same thing every day to have to make one less
Oh,
decision. And then I was gonna say that he was fired from his own job, but then had to get it back. So you would
which
any of those you would have
happened
got.
to Slutty Vegan.
Yeah, the Pinky Cole. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So that happens.
I can't wait to do a follow-up on that too, because 'cause we've talked about her before. So, I definitely want to get into, like, the nitty-gritty of that. How did it happen? Why? And how she got it back. So, look out
Yeah.
for that. Let us know if you're interested. Put it in the comments if you're interested in learning more about, that story.
Yeah, because it's definitely intriguing. But
Yes.
let's jump into our topic of today, which I'm super excited about because
So excited.
she is someone who I didn't even realize was as amazing as she is. And
Mhm.
so now I feel like, man, what have I been doing not knowing about her? So today we're talking about Melanie Perkins. We're going to do a billionaire design, uh, what we call it, like a profile on Melanie,
Yes, so, like founders profile.
founder's
We wanna
profile.
highlight some really amazing people on this channel, people that don't get to their praises don't get to be sung loud enough. So it's just another platform for us to be able to share their story.
And she's a billionaire. We
Yes.
love our
We
female
know it
billionaire.
our billionaire stories, exactly.
We
Mhm.
love it.
We're probably at this point, probably link it somewhere on this video. There is a playlist of, like, billionaires doing it.
Doing
Because
it.
we've done we've had a couple of spotlights on billionaires.
So, to start this episode strong, we want to give you a little bit of background on Melanie, just in case you don't know who that is, even though you probably use her product a couple of times a week. So, let's jump in. Melanie Perkins, who is she? Melanie grew up in Perth, Australia. I don't know where that is, but I think it's a small town. She ran her first venture at 14, knitting scarves and selling them at local markets. While teaching her classmates at the University of Western Australia, she noticed how awkward and time heavy design software felt for beginners. The pain point sparked a bigger idea, a design that she felt would help everyone in a simple way. At 19, she left the university with her boyfriend Cliff to launch her first business, which was called Fusion Books, an online yearbook maker that quickly became the largest in Australia. The win provided her larger dreams and gave it legs. Yet the road ahead was rough. Neither her or her boyfriend Cliff had any background in tech or writing code, and at the time Adobe ruled the design world. Investors turned them down more than 100 times. Funding dried up, doubt crept in. Still, Melanie kept refining the pitch and the product. Even moved to Sydney to tap deeper into the tech talent and to figure out how to get her dream funded.
And in 2012, she and Cliff teamed up with former Google engineer Cameron Adams, and Canva was born. Launched in 2013, word of mouth lit the fuse. Today, over 130 million people open Canva each month, and the company is now worth roughly $32 billion. Melanie holds about 18% and has pledged to donate more than 80% of her stake through the Canva Foundation to lift communities worldwide. Her journey proves that sharp empathy, relentless grit, and a mission that puts people first can turn a simple observation into a global creative movement. She always said success will be reached when the first thing people think about when designing is Canva, and she has reached that success. So, hand claps
Yes,
for
Melanie.
Melanie.
Yeah. When I was watching the brand founder, I think it's a magazine too, they did a
Hmm.
profile on her. It was more like a documentary. So she was talking and people who were her boyfriend, I don't know if they're married or not. They've been together a long time at this
Like,
point.
yeah, I think that's just like life partners.
Okay, well, Cliff, he talked, everyone who was a part of this journey, they told the story. And one thing that stood out to me was her energy and she never gave up. It seemed like
Hmm.
every single person said that even when she had no design, no app, no website, she had this idea and she was like, I know I can't create it, but I know it will be amazing. And
Yeah,
she did not give up. She did not give
right.
up.
I love what one of the interviewers said was like she had this combination of like this naivete with this resilience and relentless persistence, and how that really helped navigate her into this space, because he was like, people who have those combinations, they will run into a wall where they each every time and there's no door, but eventually they will find a door that nobody else saw or
Yeah.
thought of. And so that is something that I liked. What she said was, she, even though people were like, this doesn't make any sense, or this is really
Mm-hmm.
not going to go anywhere, she was like, I take the side of just doing it until it works. It's like, just don't stop until it works, even though it looks like it's not going to. So that is that could be counterproductive in some ways. It's like we hear all the time, like, pivot, pivot, pivot. We have a whole episode about pivoting, how to pivot, when to pivot. And in her case, she just decided not necessarily not to pivot, but she didn't pivot away from her original idea. She just kept
Right.
finding ways to make it work.
Yeah, and it showed that she had a strong mission to begin with. Like her mission statement was strong enough to carry the weight of change and doubt and all the things. I think a lot of times when we pivot mid missions because our mission wasn't strong to begin with, we're like, oh, maybe this isn't the mission. But her mission was so strong that although the way the mission showed up evolved, like I know she had to like redo Canva mid launch. She had to
Right,
pivot the code and redo this and redo that and change and start over, all that. So that changed. She wasn't committed to the way it looked. She was
right,
committed to the mission. And so I
right.
think that's what's inspiring. But there are a lot of moments in learning about her journey that were inspiring. So Liana and I jumped in. We did all the hard work, so you don't have to. And we
Yes,
found 10 engaging moments and take home lessons from her journey to becoming the Canva billionaire CEO, co
she is
CEO
today.
that she is. And the cool
Mhm.
part is, like, we talked about how other CEOs have been voted off their company's board, right? Because they weren't delivering what the stockholders felt like they needed. She has consistently been the CEO from the beginning. They keep voting her in, they want her there because
Mhm.
she is such a strong leader and she has some great lessons and she has a really cool energy about her. Like she
She
seems like a
does.
really nice hearted person. So,
Yes. Are they, are they public, or are they still private? I thought they were still a private company.
well, she only owns 18%. So I don't know if I know that if it's not stockholders, it's investors who she has
Right,
to report
right,
to.
right. Okay.
Yeah. I'm
Mhm.
not sure if they're public. We can check into that.
Mhm.
But let's jump to the engaging moments. Number one stood out to me because I know that I was a childhood entrepreneur. So she started her first business at 14. So when she was telling her story, she was saying how her brothers, she has two brothers, they were very talented, like in specific talents.
Yes, totally can relate to that.
And her talent was more of like, I'm smart and I like to do things and make it happen was kind of
Right.
her
It's like,
talent.
my talent is I'll get it done.
I'll get it
That's
done. Like I have cool ideas, I make it happen, right?
right,
And so
right.
I think it's
I'll
really
work
cool.
harder.
Yeah. I think
Mhm.
it's really cool that she started her first business at 14 and that although it was small, handmade scarves. She doesn't mention any background in fashion. So another thing that she entered into with no background knowledge in it. But she started there. And then her second business was the yearbook business. And so the fact that she was so young and wasn't afraid to fail and wasn't afraid to start and
Mhm.
wasn't afraid to do something no one in her family had done before. I think it's a lesson that small starts, early starts, even if it's low risk, even if it's low profit, it's worth it because it helps you prepare for the bigger win.
Yes, and I really like going between the scarves to, her doing the fusion books and yearbooks thing, so which we'll get to, but I like the trajectory of her story because everything builds on one another.
Mm,
The scars at 14, that's like your first bite of entrepreneurship. Like, maybe you crocheted some scarves, whatever, however she came up on those scarves, she was hustling and she got the scarves out, you know what I'm saying? That's like your first introduction to making a product, exchanging money for it, where you have that first bit of commerce.
mhm,
And then she also had some experience with doing some type of graphic design because she would teach it to
on
other students.
campus. Mhm,
Exactly, like how to do these other products. I forgot exactly which one she said she started with, but she also noticed that a lot of people want to do a bunch of different things, but you had to use so many different programs to do whatever type of graphic or video editing or something that you wanted to do. So from going to that first bite of that like entrepreneurship commerce part, and then educating, starting to understand the problem because you're engulfed in it, you're hearing from people every day and you're getting the problem, you're understanding the problem because you're teaching it.
mhm,
That kind of goes in like with consulting when you're talking to people and you are understanding their problems because you're trying to solve them. And then she created a small, maybe she didn't, I don't know if she knew this at the beginning, but it's like your first prototype, your small product that you do a small test case to see how it's doing. In this case, when her yearbooks is when she was, it had like a template library and it had some elements that people can mix and match to make their yearbooks and stuff like that. Like that is the base a product for Canva, but she
mhm.
made it and it wasn't even Canva yet. I don't even know if she knew it would turn into Canva at that
No,
point.
yeah, and I
But
think
it's
that's
like
really
stepping
cool.
stones.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was the editor in chief of my yearbook back in the day.
Oh,
My senior
okay.
year, yeah, I was. I was the first Black entrepreneur of my yearbook, which
Ooh,
is so
okay.
sad, but it was a thing. But anyway,
Listen,
I rem
trailblazing, blazing
yeah,
trails. Okay.
yes, K high for life. But I remember the design software we had, and we had old Macs, like the fat ones with the big backs. Big back, big
Not
back.
big backs.
That's what we had. We had the big back Mac desktop computers. And I remember spending hours just
Big
trying to
back
get
Macs. I'm sorry.
big. I've been waiting to find a way to use Big Back. I don't know why. Anyway,
Hilarious. That's a good one.
we had Big Bag Macs. And so I remember like the headache of designing those pages or just some of our teammates weren't as good, so the pages would be ugly. Just all the
Oh,
different things. 'Cause we're not graphic designers. People go to school and get
right.
degrees for
Exactly.
this.
That's what she was saying. It was like it was gate kept. You know what I'm saying? And like
Yeah,
wanting to release that gate.
yeah. And so I just think it's cool that she even started there. And it seems like she saw a need and she was like, how do I meet the need? And that's something that we've talked about in other episodes is how do you know if your business will be successful? Is there a need?
Are you solving the problem?
Yeah, are
Period.
you solving a problem? Even if it's not, you don't know how many people have this need. If you see enough of a niche market of a need, if it's something that's bothering you that you wish there's a solution for, it could be successful. I'm sure no one, there's a lot of businesses out here, like random things. Like I bought these little cushions that I put into my shoe if my shoe's slightly too big. Why would someone create that, right? Because some woman, her shoes are too big and she wants to wear them anyway,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I bought it,
Mhm.
you
Not
know,
all
so
sizes are created equal.
yeah. So I just think it's cool that she, even though it wasn't, like I said, she didn't have like she was an artist or she was a this or she was a that. She kind of had a lot of different talent, but she knew how to identify needs. And
Yes,
so
yes.
both of her businesses have been successful because she knows how to identify needs. And I think
Yes.
that's huge.
Identify and then also create a solution for it. And I think that comes from her background of having to outwork outwork her brothers because they had a talent so they could just
Hmm.
lean on that. But she's like, if I'm going to shine in this family, probably then it's like I need to be have my ear to the ground and get the work done. And when you have this idea of like you just want to do a lot of work, then your mind is open to seeing how much needs to be done. And when you're able to see what needs to be done, then you can identify the problems and execute.
Yeah. The next thing that stood out to me was she dropped out of school and went all in. Now,
Mm,
I'm not recommending if there's any 19, 18, 17-year-olds listening to this, I'm not saying
right.
drop out of college. Because let me tell you, entrepreneurship in this life is not for everyone. You need to know yourself. Okay.
Mhm.
Are you
Mhm.
self motivated? Are you going
Right.
to grind? Because I promise you, the work that she put into starting her business was a lot more work than 4 years of a university. The
Right.
stress and all she had to pour in, the finances, the tireless nights, the research. She learned more trying to research her fusion business than a lot of people learn in their classroom. So you have to know yourself.
Mhm.
But for her and Steve Jobs, they knew that they could do it, that they could teach themselves, they could fill in that education gap themselves because they
Right.
knew they needed to know a certain amount of knowledge to get this thing done, right?
Exactly. Be self-motivated. And I would say if you were to leave college, don't just be like, because I don't like it or I can't find my way here, because you could figure it out in college.
Mhm.
Where I would recommend is if you are when you have an idea or you have a product or you have something that you can execute in going to classes is going to keep you from actually getting the information and the resources you need to do that thing, because I'm also a huge proponent to doing not wasting your time, making sure that if you go to college and you realize it's not the thing, maybe you want to do trade school, go get a trade, go you want to be a chef, go to culinary school. You know what I'm saying? Like everything doesn't have to be in this regimented 4 year thing. I recommend college specifically for if you need to figure it out and you
Mhm.
know that whatever you're going to do is going to require you to have more connections than it is a skill to build something like an app. And even then, I would say take a gap year before you just totally write it off.
Yeah, you have to know yourself. I mean, like for me, I mean, Leonie and I both have degrees, so we're not
Mhm.
telling you this of people who we didn't drop out. We
Right,
went to school,
right.
right?
We went
I'm
and
not gonna
finished. Yes.
I'm not
Hmm.
gonna tell any of you to drop out while I'm over here with 2 degrees. I'm not trying to set you up for
Right.
failure. But what I'm saying is you have to know yourself. I know me, I don't study well. Okay. I need
Hmm.
someone yelling at me when this is due. So I know myself. So when it
Hmm.
comes to certain things that I knew I needed to be a therapist or I knew that I needed to be in the corporate America world, I knew I needed a degree. So just figure out what you want to do, have a strong mission, have a plan, and not like a dream. I mean a plan. A dream and a plan are different. You need to have a plan. A dream is, oh, I want to. A plan is, this is how I'm going to do it.
Hmm.
And there's a difference. So if you're just like, I'm not going to go to college and I'm going to live at home and figure it out, no, go to college. Okay.
Hmm.
Because there's a
Yes.
lot that I learned at college and a lot of networking that I did
Yes.
at college. But she realized that she didn't need it and she bet on herself in this way.
Mhm.
And it worked out. And she was also very, 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 very relentless. Like one of her
Mhm.
first investors said that she was like emailing him every week, until
Mhm.
he invited her out to like this tech summit. And even at the tech summit, she's never done anything water sports. She was on the jet ski because she's like, I want to get in, go with these people. Okay.
Right. She was like doing all types of like dangerous sports. She like wasn't my favorite thing to do, but you like when you got to do what you got to do to, get that to build that relationship to show that you're down, to show that you're ready to go all in.
Yeah.
Especially understand that the time frame of when she built this. This was back in 2013, over 10 years ago at this point, and tech was still in a place where you could build something and have have a unicorn company, which means that the value is so beyond what people can imagine that they just say you're a unicorn. So tech in that grind in tech has completely changed now, especially with with the uprising of AI. The way that her story developed, it may not be the same way now to where like going doing all that is necessary. But find out what when you'll sense out what the vibe is in the era we're in and what it does take, and then be willing to do all that it takes.
Yeah. And I think the cool thing, which is one of our next points, is, like we said, she was dedicated to her mission. So the no's didn't shake her to the point of giving up. I know if I heard 100 no's on a business idea that I have, I might be like, maybe I should not do this. Maybe
Right.
I should. But she got so many no's. And even the initial investor, who finally put in his first investment, this is the one who she was harassing and
Yes.
sold her dream harder to him than anyone else. He connected her to all
Mhm.
the other people. He still, after like months and years of conversations, was like, I'll give you 25K. What can you do
Right.
with 25K in the tech world?
Right,
Like,
right.
creating something,
Mhm.
not much, right?
Mhm.
So he still was like, "Okay, I'll give you 25K," and she didn't take even that. She was like,
Right.
"But let me tell you why you should give me more,
Yes,
okay?" And
exactly.
so she negotiated up to 100K and then used his investment and his name to get other investors to jump in, and
Right.
she did all that by self-educating herself. So she did not just go into things not knowing. She negotiated her butt off. Her and her, boo,
Her boo
negotiated
her little boo thing,
her little boo thing, Cliff.
co-founder.
Um, but I think that's really cool how resilient she was. And then also we have to remember back when she was doing this, there weren't a lot of women in the tech world. On top of tech
Right,
being just a highly protected industry to get into, she was a woman
right,
in this tech world. And so I don't know how things are in Australia when it comes to the landscape of women in STEM, but I know here it's not many who are in
right,
STEM. So it was a
right.
lot of things that she was facing in trying to get this off the floor. And although she did have Cliff, it seemed like she was, like he even said it, like she was the main person.
Right,
Like
he
when they
was the
had this,
visionary, and he was
yeah,
like, he's gonna be where he's gonna get in where he can fit in,
yeah.
because neither of them were technical.
Yeah. Yeah, because he said, like, at some point, they didn't have CEO positions. They were just like, "We're this is our idea," and they had to choose, and he was like, "Her.
Mhm.
Let it be
Exactly.
her." Right?
She's the CEO, she's a visionary, she's gonna take it. This is her idea at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's really, really cool. And then she's still a CEO. So,
Yes.
what would you say the next thing that stood out to you, Liani?
So I wanna just stick on the 100 no's for a second, because I before you were like, if you got 100 no's, you would, like, say, like, "Maybe I'm not supposed to do this."
Mhm.
And that brings me to, I've been telling everybody about this. I think I said it before in the podcast, but, like, the rule of 100. And we even said, if, like, our, like, cutoff point for this podcast, if nothing pops off, it's after 100 episodes.
Mhm.
It's like, then we'll have a strong reevaluation of things. But she had 100 plus no's, and she didn't waver. And
Yeah.
by at that point, there's probably not much information about how many no's you that are average to get before you get a yes. So it's like, I'm at this point in my life where I'm saying, if I haven't done it 100 times, I'm not allowing myself to get discouraged. It's hard to do, but because every time you want it to be an immediate yes, it's like when you have a no, that means there's more tweaking you have to do. And I hate having to revise. I hate revisions. So it's like, but it's even then you have those no's. Don't stop. Once you get to 100, then you can say, okay, now it's time to revisit. Maybe it doesn't mean give up entirely, but it just means revisit how you're presenting something. So that's a note I wanted to take from that. I wanted to share with that as well.
And that's a good number because even like in research, like when I was in grad school and we had to do research, let's say I had a theory. I think that most people, have 11 toes they don't know about, whatever, right? In order for me to say this is a fact, I have to at least have a sample size of 100
Yeah.
people who I surveyed,
That's
right?
good.
And so I don't think people think about that. Like when you see statistics and data and
Like,
even
who did you pull
medication,
this from? Yeah.
there's usually a sample size. There's a minimum sample size for you to say this is possibly factual.
Mhm.
Freaking Family Feud. How many people do they ask? 100
Mhm.
random
Oh, it's
people,
always 100 people. Yeah,
right?
yeah. Mhm.
And so I think we forget about that when we get our first one or two no's, we're just so discouraged. Like, oh my God, people don't want to do this as much as I think they should want to do it. Like one or two no's is not much. Like even when I applied for grad school, I think I had like 7 or 8 grad schools tell me no, like
Mhm.
back to back to back. And I just kept applying because I knew that I was supposed to be a therapist. And so it's like you have to be so dedicated to your mission that you just believe in the mission. And you're like,
Yeah.
People are going to get it one day.
People
People are
are
gonna get it one
people are
day. I
gonna
need to
catch
increase.
on.
Yeah, people are
Yeah.
gonna catch on.
Yes, and so this is from another interview that I listened to, outside of what we prepared for here, but one thing that I learned is her timeline and how she said it took, years of just trying to get people to understand what she was doing
Mm,
and to reach out to people and say, "Hey, we wanna build this. Hey, we wanna build this." It took years to do that. Then it took 1 year of development to get it up and going, and then she was able to get it out to people. But when you with even though Canva is such a it's a prolific tool, it took a long time for people to even say or even see her vision or anything like that. Like we said the 100 no's, but that 100 no's didn't happen in a month or in a week. Those were over a year's time. So she was still working on it, still dedicating to it, and I liked when you really think about it day in and day out, trying to get this idea to be understood and adopted. It's a lot of people you could think about handling 100 no's in 90 days or whatever. But when you think, oh, a year after year after year, day after day after day, and every day you have to get up and say, I believe in this, that takes a lot of power to do that. And so remembering that whatever you're putting that much energy towards, really believe in it so that you can still get up every day and say so. Because a lot of times, I think what the Steve Jobs quote was is a lot more businesses would work out if we would just persevere. And so always remember that those 100 no's are not good, may not come in quickly. They can come over a long period of time. And so, something else that stood out to me with her is how she gives back. So from the
mhm,
very beginning, and I love this, watching her interviews, it reminds me of me in a way because I'm also, and I'll get to in a minute, working on being a tech founder. And when I see another tech founder focusing on um, I guess humanitarian efforts to simplify it first, and that being like, I don't need a billion. Nobody needs $1 billion. But if you do have that $1 billion, how do you deploy those funds to do something impactful in the entire world? And so from the very beginning, she's had that vision, and she's put every effort towards um, helping people in extreme poverty, with giving people, especially even with her tool herself, giving people complete access to create anything they want to create. There's so many of us who have ideas and who have dreams and want to be able to execute it and communicate it, but we can't draw. We don't know how to use this design software.
Adobe, yeah,
Exactly. Can't like I just made a my first motion graphic using Canva. I watched a video on how to do very like specific, like very intricate motion graphics with it, and I made my first one. And so that opens the door for a bunch of things, and I'll tell you what else it opens the door to in a minute. But that really, really, really stood out to me because I think there's a difference when you make a lot of money and you want to go and give back for tax write-offs or
mm,
because you have to or something like that.
obligation,
Obligation, but hers is from the core, and
yeah,
I just apps it brings it what makes me wanna cry when I think about how happy I am that there's somebody who is, being a good steward over the money that they're receiving.
yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I agree. I love, and it seems like her and Cliff share that passion for giving back. They're not trying to live, they're not trying to go to space and live forever like some billionaires that we hear about. I don't know if you heard about that billionaire from Venmo who's like trying to figure out how to reverse age himself. Anyway,
Oh, okay.
literally,
Now I
literally.
wouldn't
Okay.
put space in there. Space, I think that's a necessary situation.
I think it's one thing to pour into space as far as us knowing what's happening. It's another thing for you to try to figure out how to live there so you can live forever,
Right,
which
right.
it's a
Yes,
different thing,
yes.
the motivation.
Correct,
Um,
correct.
so I love that. I mean, Rihanna's the same way. Their money has not changed who they are as human people
Mm,
and how they interact with human people. And I think that's what shows even in the documentary is that like, although she's had so much success, she seems very grounded and
yep.
she still seems very, if anything, grateful that something that she's created is impacting people. And I love that. Like, like it makes me want to invest. Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
you ever did. I remember back in my early entrepreneur days, I paid for Adobe and I tried to do it and all the things. It was a headache and confusing. And even when I would figure out how to do one thing, I couldn't figure out how to do something else. Like, it was all like, it
Right.
felt like I needed a 4-year degree to
That's what
know
she
how to
said. It
do
would
this.
take like a whole semester just to find out where the buttons are before you
Yeah.
even got to design anything.
Headache. Headache.
Mhm.
So the fact that she changed that to where on my phone, I can create a flyer in 20 minutes. I can create a dynamic birthday post for IG for my sister and make her light up like within seconds on my phone. And the fact that I can then send it to you and you can edit it on your like there's so many elements of her thinking about us, the users, when she was creating this that shows that she has a heart for people. So I love it.
Yes, even our Giggles and Goals, a school and life planner, like creating that, that was one of my favorite things that I've ever created with Canva because it just encompasses the things that I love. And then also you, my friend, who are doing this podcast with you, and you're creating, we're putting our minds together and making that. Like I just, every time I'm able to see like I'm a Canva designer and I'm even growing in that skill set. Like I'm learning how to make more designs from scratch than just picking out a template, even though I did that as well, and just make it look very just to your liking and not have any um roadblocks to doing that. It makes you feel really empowered and it's
Mhm.
freeing, you
Yeah.
know?
No, it is,
Mhm.
it is. Um, I don't even know what number we're on, so I guess we
We're
probably are
at
at
10
10.
now.
We're at 10, but overall, I'm excited about the future of Canva.
Yes.
I love how I feel like she is constantly leveling up the ease
Mhm.
of it for us.
Mhm.
Like it's not becoming more complicated, it's becoming, if anything, easier. Now it has gone up in price a little bit over the years, but it's still not like beating us over the head, um,
Right.
which is nice. So I love it. I love where she's going with it. I know recently she did like a Apple themed launch, where she had the big stage and she told us what they were
Yeah,
doing.
so yes, that's their I forgot what they call it. I'm calling it Apple
Keynote
calls it it wasn't it is a keynote, but they call it something else like I forgot like where it's like a year, not a year in review, but where they kind of just like set up what's happening for the
product
year.
launch. Well, we'll
Yes,
find the name.
essentially.
We'll put in the caption. But
Yes.
they recently did that, and so Liani's always on top of this stuff. So she was like, "You got to go on there and click the envelopes and da 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 da,"
Yes.
so you can get into the demo. And I did it, but I did it a day late, and so I missed out on being on the demo myself. But she let me in on hers. But
Yes.
even the way that they did that was so cool. It's definitely
Yes.
given like Canva and Apple are going to be like this. They're going to be neck and neck very, very soon.
Mhm.
Very, 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 very soon, and that's exciting to see, like,
Yes.
new people being the leaders in things, you know what I mean? Like, the old
Yeah.
regime makes it very hard to, like, tap in, if that makes
Mhm.
sense, like, the Adobes of the world make it very hard, but, like, having, like, companies like Apple that care about people and Canva that care about people and they're leading, that's really
Mhm.
exciting for me. But you watched the full keynote, I watched elements of it,
Yes.
but what's exciting and new?
Okay, so going this ties into like the 10th point, and then I'll go into what they're doing now. But their relentless reinvention. So they when they and in their history, like running into issues or running into problems and they know they need to solve them, they would reinvent themselves. Like you said, they stopped production basically for 2 years because they needed to totally reset their foundation so that they could build better and higher and grow more and faster. Right now they're like growing exponentially, which for a company that's been around for over 10 years and they're still seeing exponential growth is really groundbreaking. A lot of companies don't do that. They kind of like hit like a stagnant point, but they're still climbing. And so she even said this in I believe in the documentary, like needing to go do is counterintuitive, counterproductive, it seems like, to stop what you're doing, reinvent what your foundation is built on so that you can go further and faster and build up like a skyscraper. So already you can tell that this company is going to go so far
Mhm.
when there is a CEO at the helm that understands the point and is willing to make the sacrifices for efficiency. A
Yeah.
lot of people try to work on clunky things, try to roll with a flat tire, but she's like, no, let's pull over, fix this tire, and then we'll be able to go faster and get
Yeah.
to the destination and actually surpass our competition. So, with all that, what they have done with, I'll get into some of the things that they talk about in the keynote. I'm not going to spoil. I'm just going to go in order and say the best for last.
Okay.
Um, so with their Unchartered keynote, they released their biggest update since Canva launch. So this was like a overhaul. When you go in and you click on those envelopes, your whole interface will change. Like they have new buttons, new everything. And so the first thing that they did is being able to use one design file for all of your things. So apparently there was people were expressing that, they want to be able to have, like, we have a campaign and you have social media posts, and then you have a presentation, and then you have
You need a banner. Yeah.
a banner, all of it. So, but it's all related to one campaign. You can now make that all in one
I love
workspace
that.
so that you could change this aspect ratio and the sizes of things all in one thing.
That's huge because that's a big headache even for, like, when you and I are collaborating. When
Mm-hmm.
you send me the artwork for YouTube, I
Mm-hmm.
have to make a copy of that so I
Yeah.
don't mess up yours, and then I have to make under my copy, resize it
Mm-hmm.
for Instagram, and it's annoying. So
Right.
I
You don't have
love
to do
I
that
l
now.
okay.
Yes. So then, where the note that I put for here is, so everything that's related to your design is in one place. Next is your, so that's like, wait, where did I write that note about the, so all the way from, like, if you have social media posts, all the way to doing like merch where you want to put
Mhm.
it on, whatever it is, you could just
It can
create it
all
all in
be
that
there.
one space. Yes. Next, they updated their data management to rival Excel and Google Sheets. So now you can do data and just using, with the power of AI, just put what you want it to calculate, and you don't have to ever use a formula, but it can work just like Google Sheets and Excel. Yeah. So that's huge because I know I've done a lot of excelling in my life, and I'm not proficient in Excel. I can do the basic minimum on Google Sheets, but not, and it's all formula based when you really want to get some, like, I really get parse out those metrics and really like see what those the data, see what story the data is trying to tell you. You need a formula to really like get it to do something. So now you
I
could
love
just like
that.
prompt it and it will do it for you. And they said it. They said it. I did it. And they were like, so you never have to learn a formula again. I'm like,
Love it.
amen to
They're about
that.
to make some people mad, but I love it.
Listen, exactly. So they not only make it easier to produce the graphs and stats without formulas, but you can make it beautiful as well, because Canva is all about making things beautiful.
Yeah.
So when you have a presentation, especially like say you have a pitch deck and you need to be able to say like with these amount of users and this is what you found and this is what it's doing. Or if you're in marketing and you need to show your client how well all of their conversion rates are doing and all that stuff, just being able to put it in a graph and make it look nice with a click of a
Yeah.
button, a few clicks of a button, it means a lot, especially as someone who did marketing for companies, and then having to show them like how the social media posting and the blogs and the newsletters that we're doing, how that's affecting their business and their conversion rate and how that turns into dollars for them. Like being able to make that simple is perfect.
I love it.
And then Canva, with Canva AI, where you can now bulk create designs. So if you have you have like your header, you have your body,
Mhm.
and you have whatever other things you want to add to this. Now with a couple of clicks of a button, you can take that one design and make it as many times as you want, like 1,000 times. You can make it in different languages. You could do it in different styles, but just maintain the main elements of your design. You can now do that with Magic Studio, do your designs in bulk.
Very cool.
Yes. So, that way you can promote across different mediums. So that's where you can go from social media platforms all the way to merch and stuff like that. So with that bulk creation, be able to create all banners, like I said, social media posts for different aspect ratios, and but keep the same design continuity throughout it.
And I did see that they have like a collaboration with ChatGPT because I saw an option on ChatGPT to create a Canva. Like I could tell ChatGPT to do something and it will link to my Canva. I don't know the details of it, but I know they have some type of link with ChatGPT because I saw it.
It could be updated. Last time I looked at ChatGPT and with a link in Canva, you could say like what you wanted, like say give a prompt and say like give me a make this into like a Canva thing, and it will give you some templates. My thing is I need whatever I write in ChatGPT for that text and all that to
To go into the
merge with
template.
the template.
Mm,
That's what I need
next
right
level.
now. Yes, that's next level.
They're listening
But
to this. Next keynote.
but I mean, honestly, they don't need ChatGPT because what this is the part I really want to get into. The meat of the reason why Canva is revolutionizing the AI, how AI is used and what you can create for yourself is with their Canva code. So I've known for a while because my husband is an engineer, so he lets me know about all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. And there's been these coding agents that help engineers code actual like programs. And then there's also this other coding agent that I forgot the name of it, that he told me about, we were using, where you could put in a prompt and it's supposed to create an app or create a website, create whatever for you. And so you don't have to use a an engineer at all. So it's growing in that way where you can now start to code your own app, you can, or code your own whatever it is. It's at right now it's at like a small like widget level, but eventually it's going to grow to where you can make probably some really robust systems with just a
That's
coding
really
agent
cool.
and completely bypass an engineer. And so the reason why I'm really excited about what Canva is doing is because they're one of the first companies to put this in a very digestible and consumable way for the public. But up at literally 2 weeks before they launched this, me and Robert were on the coding agent trying to make a specific app for this app that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But we were like testing it out and seeing if it could make it, and it would like do the setup for like on your GitHub and all the other pieces it takes for you to actually have a working app. But
Hmm.
it would stop and it would get clunky. I'm like, sorry, I
Mm,
can't go in here, go any further. I'm sorry, it's not working, please redo the prompt, da da da.
yeah,
So it was just really like not working as far as I wanted to take it. And it was like it was only code. Like you couldn't visualize anything. It would just be lines of code, and then you would have to take that code, connect it to a thing on your computer so it could reveal it and show it in real time. So it was a lot. It was a lot of pieces. And just 2 weeks from me doing that until seeing this keynote and I have, thank goodness, have access. I caught it on time. I got access to the code with me feature on Canva. But now all that whole coding agent thing, you could type in whatever you want to put in there,
huh,
and then it can make it into it makes it real. Like you could work on it, you can use it immediately, designed already. That
that's really
is
cool.
huge. So when you think about if you have an app idea, there's so many people like,
A
well, that should be an
concept.
app, a concept, you can now get it out once it's open and available to the masses. I'm sure I think it's in beta right now. I think whatever I got is in some form of beta, and then they're going to open it up to everybody else eventually. But it is magnificent when
That's
I
really
say
cool.
is, and I'm not in it. It's what it's doing right now is just a taste of what it's going to be able to do probably in a year's time. It's you'll be able to create anything, and the fact that Canva is the first to launch something like that that is this tangible is really really groundbreaking.
I love it. I
So
love it.
now you want to have anything to add to that?
No, I think it's really cool. I mean, back in the day when I first started using Canva, I was just excited to remove backgrounds. Like I
Right.
remember that's why
Listen,
I
they said that
started.
that's everybody's favorite thing to do is removing backgrounds and adding drop
Listen,
shadow.
listen. When I tell you, I remember when I first got Canva, I would literally just go into it just to remove backgrounds because
Right.
before it was such a headache to remove a dang background. Like, if
Right.
you have Adobe, you have to download
Or
90 different
Photoshop, you
apps.
got to, like, do the little sketch and the
Oh,
lasso
yes.
thing.
Or you would try to do the automatic thing and it would be off. You had headache, okay? And it would be a little fuzzy because your hand's a little shaky.
Yes,
My
exactly.
favorite feature back in the day, I thought Canva put the stars in the sky because I can remove background. Now they're literally out here making it to where I can create an app, you can create an app, she can create an app. Like, that is so revolutionary, and I
Right.
love it, and I love that
Revolutionary.
not only is Melanie a woman, but she's
Mhm.
a millennial.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
I love
Mhm.
my millennials. I think she's like
Yeah.
2 years older than us. I think she's
Okay.
87,
Okay, okay.
87 or 86,
Mhm.
87 or 86. So us millennials, we out here
Okay, changing the world. So yes, what was I gonna say about now you can bulk background remove now with their new interface. Yes, so now that I'm glad you said that because now you can do a whole bulk thing. And I'll leave a link to the
kiddo.
Unchartered keynote so everybody can see it. They have a really cute little song at the end. I can't get it out my head. It's like, "Hello, please add the widgets. Hello, please add the widgets." When you hear it, you'll get it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I'm excited about that.
Yes. So then let me really go into like more about it and how I've used this for my own self and how
Mhm.
groundbreaking it's been for my life.
Yeah.
My husband and I have been working on an app for 5 years now. And when I say working on that doesn't mean we've been coding it. Again, going back to solving to create a good app, a good piece of software, you need to be solving a problem. And so we've been researching this problem, doing some qualitative analysis and really understanding what people need in the industry we're working in to develop something that is actually going to be a game changer for the industry, for the interior design, architecture, home staging, and maybe even home building industry.
I love
And
it.
so we have iterated and iterated and iterated over the years of like, what is it going to include? What does it need? What are people's issues? I've learned a lot in my couple years of consulting to see what people will actually need to solve their problems. And so we had gotten to the point where it's like, okay, we're actually getting a really pretty clear understanding of what people need, but now we need to make it into to make some screens so that we could show people and say like these people that we've been consulting with, these people we've been talking to, all this stuff, we need to show them what the solution could look like. And so I was like, you know how when you kind of like are reaching an endpoint, you're like, you have no idea what to do or where you're gonna go from here, and you're like kind of just like twiddling your thumbs. I was like in the twiddling my thumbs phase, like maybe I can stall because I'm interviewing people and I'm like, people are excited. Oh, one thing, I'm going to go backtrack a little bit. One thing that she said that really, really resonated with me in her documentary is you basically, to sum it up, she's like, you don't need to know everything. She was like a proactive perfectionist or something like that. And so what that means is she's going to make it as perfect as she can with the information that she has.
But she's gonna
And
move.
yeah, but she's going to move. And then she said, when you are creating something, when you're doing this, the information may not arrive for what you need until you need it. So don't be caught up on being perfect. If you don't have the information right now, then you may not need it right now. You can get it later. And that is where this landed for me. When I was at the when am I gonna do next? I'm twiddling my thumbs. How do I stall these people who are like I've been interviewing them and now like how do I show them the level up with the next step? And I'm like, well, to do that, I'm going to need several $1,000s in a couple months. Because I need to be able to create the screens. I then have to take this knowledge, these notes, this information, and communicate it to somebody, most likely with a language barrier, and tell them what I need in this app so that they can create screens for my audience to understand what to do within this 2 weeks time. And she's so right, when you need the information will appear. Okay, so don't be worried about what you don't know right now.
Yeah.
When I was in that state, I happened to be on a Saturday scrolling on YouTube as I do to find something to watch, and then I was like, "It's fine." I don't even know why I clicked on this. I'm not really that invested in. I wasn't invested in Canva's keynotes or what they were doing next. I just use it, get on, get off, and move on. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just click on this, and I clicked on it at the right time because this code for me was only offered for a limited amount of time,
Yeah.
and I was able to get it on the last day that they had it
See, look
open.
at God. Look at God.
Let me tell
Won't
you,
he do
won't he do it? Okay, we have to start shouting over here. So
Won't he
I
do it?
I opened it, I clicked it, and literally that night I started to put in. I was able. So I'll tell you the whole process. I had taken the notes because we had interviews after interviews with designers and people of like, what are your pain points? What do you need? What da, da, da. And so I took those transcripts because I record all my meetings and I make transcripts from them. I put those transcripts in Perplexity. I then told it to parse out the pain points and the action items that we discussed. Because every time I get a pain point, I say, well, it'll be cool if we could do this, that, and the other. This is a greenfield solution. So let's think about every possibility. So I was able to take all that information and put it into action items. I then told it, now take this information and write it in a way to explain to write it in a way where a coding agent can understand how to build this.
Mm,
So specifically telling AI to write it in a way to talk to another piece of AI.
AI. I love
You
it.
know what I'm saying? So it's
Mhm.
like, so they know how to talk to each other. They created that. And then I put that information in the code with me with Canva. And then it spit out a clickable prototype. And I also said this is not a real app because if it was going to be a real app, it wouldn't have been able to handle that because that takes a lot of like storage and like actual calls and things that you have to put together that it's not ready. It's not ready there yet, guys. Okay. It's at the point where you can get an idea out to visualize it. But if you do have a small widget, like you want to make a calculator for your pricing on your
Mhm.
website, or you want to do like you want to make a game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It can make things that aren't going to be such a
Simple.
heavy load. Exactly. Simple things. And in this case, this is a very complex app that I'm making, but just making the visual of it is simple. So I was able to do that for n- uh 3 features that cover about 9 screens. And so now I was able today to demonstrate what the key features of this app will do to one of my clients who could be a potential investor, and tell her, based on what we talked about, this is what an app would do and what it would look like.
So now you have a prototype.
And now I have a prototype.
Girl, where's Mai Tai? What's the man who invested in her? Mai Tai. What's his name? We need to call Mai Tai.
What's his name? My Tai. What's his
I think it's
name?
Mai
Bill
Tai.
Tai. Bill Tai.
Bill Tai.
But my Tai is a drink.
Oh. We need to get a hold of Bill Tai now, okay? We have a product.
Yes.
Listen.
So now we have a product, but then so now we're not even done. So I had the conversation with her today, and she was like, "Well, this is good, but what we have here isn't enough because there's competitors on the market who are doing XYZ. So we need to include this plus XYZ."
Mhm.
But the great thing about it is I can now go after this podcast, we're done filming this podcast, and put in that XYZ, and it'll be done tonight. That is how powerful this is.
Yeah.
And so when you have an idea and you know what to do, like you have to
Mhm.
understand the problem. Hear me, this would not have been able to get done in a way where it could be effective if we hadn't put that 5 years in of
Right.
understanding the problem,
Research.
researching, finding ways to create the solution, all that stuff. But now
Yeah.
that now it just takes out that waiting game of having to be like,
Yeah.
how do I get this money to make this a real thing? How do it's going to take so long. The market is competitive. How am I going to get there fast enough? It really helps to shortcut that. So when you have an idea, you can execute it, and then you can really get to the fun part of things, you
Yeah.
know?
Listen, I'm gonna prophesy, okay? Day, one day, Giggles and Goals will be doing a billionaire profile on design your own home, whatever the name of the business is, on Liani. and we'll figure out what my billionaire business is gonna be. I'm working on it, but
Yes,
I
but
love it.
camera will be there when you're ready.
Okay. Because I love it. Because this is where it started. I mean, we saw her journey. It started you've had some no's
Right.
already. You've had
Mhm.
businesses that worked and didn't work already. You've done it. So now we're ready for the build tie
Yes,
investment. We're ready
exactly.
for it. You know how to jet
Yes.
ski? You gotta learn.
Right, first of all, I know how to jet ski. I don't know how to do whatever jet skiing I know the jet ski one. What's the other one where you're, like, on the back of the boat with your actual, like, skis?
That's jet ski. The other one is not jet ski. The other one is
Like,
what's the you see
I know how to do, like, the moped jet
yes,
ski. That's a
little
jet ski.
scooter.
Yeah, I could do the scooter one. I don't know what she was doing. It's not parasailing
It's like
either.
skiing on water. Like
Yeah.
she's in skis and then they're
What's the difference?
pulling her.
Somebody tell me what the difference between jet ski and jet
We
ski
don't
is.
know. Clearly. Clearly, we don't. Look, we're gonna learn
Listen,
to be able to hang
Imma
out with Bill.
learn. Listen, if it all it takes for me to do is some water sports to get my investment, I'll see you out there, okay?
Listen, find out. I'll learn how to swim
Imma
today.
learn. Listen, first of all, I love water sports, so that ain't gonna be too much of a stretch for me.
Listen, I'm excited because I've been preaching this all day. I was talking to someone else about this. I feel like whenever you feel like I don't know what's next, there's walls in front of me and I don't know how to climb it. God's like, here's a ladder. Here's a stepping stool.
Yes,
Here's some steps.
yes,
Don't
and
forget,
that is
I
my
got you.
prayer. And that is my prayer. And now that I understand, because I've been getting into like really revisiting the foundations that I learned in my faith and wanting to really get to like the nitty gritty of what the Bible actually says about it. Taking out what I learned from the pulpit because I'm learning that some of that stuff was not taught correctly. So now I want to learn it from myself in a new way. And so, one thing that I've been learning a lot about is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And how that wisdom is one thing you can ask God for, and He will give it to you with no holds bar. And plentifully, there's no cap to the wisdom that you can get from God. But I'm learning that how specifically the things that I need wisdom in, asking for that thing specifically. So when I was at that crossroads and I said, okay, Lord, this is what's in our heart to do. We've been working on this. We don't feel like it's time to leave it. We're still picking it up and running with it, but I don't know where to go from here. I
Mhm.
pray specifically for the wisdom to be able to bring this to fruition. I pray that you will guide me to the resources, to the person, to the people, to the knowledge, or to the wisdom, whatever it is I need to take it to this next step. And when I approach it at a step by step thing instead of Lord, give me the whole vision and I'll work it out. It's like I've gotten this far. Lord, give me the wisdom to take it to the next step
I
and
love
then
it.
the next step. So it really allows for this very intimate walk with God and trusting that when you will get the information when it's time for you to receive it and
Mhm.
not be worried about, well, I don't know the next 2 steps, 3 steps in front of me. So I don't know. I guess I'm going to give up because I don't know how it's going to work if I can't see ahead
Yeah,
of me. It's like I don't have to see anything. I just trust that maybe have faith that I may not get the answer the right exact moment, but I'll get it 2 weeks later. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Then you and then so it helps. I'm still working on this part. I haven't gotten this down all the way. But in those times where I'm waiting for the wisdom to be revealed, for the knowledge and understanding to be revealed, I have to be okay being at peace in those breaks and using that time to rest or learn or whatever it is that I need. Go and go outside with my daughter like a few more times that week. Maybe go take a trip to Houston to see my friend Crystal and Ebony. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be so caught up with gotta learn. But trust that what I need will be revealed, will be given to me when I need it.
yeah. I love that. I mean,
Mhm.
that's what faith is. You know,
Mhm.
it's not seeing something but believing it to be true. And I think sometimes when God gives us a calling or a purpose or a mission, same things, we think we're supposed to have it all figured out. And it's like, no, He just gave you a purpose and a mission to go.
Mhm.
You know, He's giving you
Mhm.
what information you need. Because sometimes if we knew the whole thing, we would fumble. If we're being honest,
Oh, yes.
if we saw the whole picture, we would jump ahead. We would skip
Mhm.
the foundation. We
Mhm.
would fumble the ball,
Yes.
right? And so I
Mhm.
think it's important for us to remember, like even when we look at the Olympians, they don't start on the Olympic field. They start in training. They
Mhm.
start falling, they start injuries, they start bandages and wraps and things like
Mhm.
that and falls,
Mhm.
and then they make it to the Olympic field. So I think
Right.
if we knew we're gonna end at the Olympics, we would jump ahead. So I think
Yeah.
that's sometimes why he gives us a little bit at a time, because that's what we can
Mhm.
handle, you know?
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, like, we really do need when if one of our purposes is, first of all, love one another, solve problems, like, actually be fruitful in this world, it's
Mhm.
you if you're so focused on the end goal, the win, then you're not
Mhm.
focusing on actually solving the problem that's gonna get you to the win.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
And like for you, there's new problems that have not begun yet that you will have to solve for. So
Right.
your product can't be done because that problem hasn't happened yet, right? So there's elements like that that you're not thinking of. Right now you're solving for the current problem, but what if the problem that's going to make you the billions, it hasn't even happened yet, right? But you have to handle this problem first to get to that one. So it's like it's all a process that we have to be patient and
Yes.
like Melanie, dedicated to the mission
Mhm.
and be able to push through and get to the end. So I'm
Right.
excited. I'm excited about it. Melanie inspired me with her
Super
Australian
inspired me.
peppy
Yes.
self.
Yes.
But let's jump to stand on business.
Yes.
Do you want to go first?
I will. So, being naive and determined is often frowned upon, but if you can't shake a particular mission inside, then don't waver. You are most likely meant to revolutionize the thing people think you're wasting your time on. If you feel certain, stay on your path, even if no one sees its benefit.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Mine is I wish I understood sooner that every mishap was actually a training ground for future victories, and that the only way to reach those wins is to keep pushing through the rough patches. And I think another thing that I would add on that is to even if those around you don't believe, you have to believe.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to stand 10 toes down on your belief. I don't know if Liani has faced this, but I know I have faced a few conversations with people about, well, if your podcast isn't popping off, is it worth all the effort and the time you're putting into it? And I'm
Mm,
like, yeah, because I believe in the mission and I believe in what we're doing and I believe in our hearts behind it. And I believe that God ordained it because I
mm,
remember feeling like, oh my God, this is all aligning. And so,
mm.
although we're not at the 20 million views or the whatever money level of YouTube, I know that this is what I'm supposed to do right now in this season. And so I'm not
Mhm,
going to get distracted by the fact that we're not getting the wins that we want. And that's just in this part of my life, right? There's other things that I
mhm.
have to remember that the times when it's not hitting the way I think it should hit is really the time I need to dive in deeper and not run away.
I
So
agree. And I'll say this to that, our work isn't finished because we're also still
correct.
learning. I
Mhm.
changed one thing on our settings the other day and we got almost 40 subscribers in 2 days.
I saw that. And I was gonna ask you, and we're gonna talk about this after. I was like, girl, did you see the jump?
Mhm.
See it?
We're still learning. And
Yeah.
so that's it's not time to give up. We haven't hit our
Yeah.
100. That talk, whoever is telling you that, say that talk isn't allowed until we hit 100 episodes.
Thank
So
you.
zip it.
Zip it. It ain't coming out your pocket. Ain't your time. Mind your business. Just
Exactly.
kidding.
Mhm. That's all. Just mind
But
your business. That's all.
mind
Just
your
mind your business.
someone's gonna get us committed. But to wrap this up, we hope that you learned as much about Melanie that we did, and we hope that you are inspired to go research her and inspired to keep pushing towards whatever your mission is, and also to subscribe.
Oh, yes.
Please
That is your
subscribe.
mission this instant.
Yes.
Subscribe.
Subscribe, follow, like, help us pursue our mission by subscribing, sharing, give us your thoughts, your comments. We got a few little comments last week that, not nice, but we'll take it. Thank you
Right?
for your comment, whatever your name was. We appreciate it. Do another one because we want to hear because we want to grow. So even
Mhm.
if it's not positive feedback, it's feedback and that is positive because it's going to help us grow. So we love
Yes.
you all. Until next week, stay amazing and have
Yes.
a great week. Also, we have a free planner that we created
Yes.
for you with Canva. Okay.
Mhm.
Link in the bio. It's completely free. We just have to subscribe, put your email so we can get your email. We will not spam you. but that's how you can get your free planner and anything else that we offer for free. You'll get that. So have a great day. Love y'all.
Yes, and one more thing, if you
Mhm,
enjoyed this episode, then watch if you enjoyed this feature, then you want to
mhm.
watch this feature we did on Sheila Johnson,
Oh,
America's
yes.
first Black billionaire. Watch
And
that next.
Riri. We did Riri.
Oh
We did
yes,
lots of
at the
people.
same one. Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
Have a great day. Bye, y'all.
Bye.